want to talk briefly today about the term hegemony and hegemonic cultures and hegemonic systems and the way that they are often talked about as more confusing than they actually are. And to get to the heart of what hegemony means, I want to also refer to an author who himself is referred to quite often as more confusing than he actually was, Michel Foucault, who, among many themes, time and again pointed out that power is slowly but surely dispersing from a centralized source like a king in some societies to outward networked nodes like the citizen. And we can think of the execution as just one example of how this has progressed in cultural norms throughout the last 500 years. It used to be that a king would decree the law and the citizens had no choice except to follow along and obey those laws, or they would be beholden to whatever punishment the king said. Nowadays, power sort of seems to come in democratic societies from the people, from the consent of the governed, and by way of juries, by way of voting. And we can see that in this system, it appears as if the people are actually constructing the system itself, and they lose track of the fact that oppression is still built into these systems. Very few people would argue that the criminal justice system does not have at its heart the oppression of people who have at some point allegedly oppressed others. That is the whole reason that the system exists. So this brings to mind one of the keys of hegemony. It has to include oppression and the counterpart privilege as one of the key components, as one of the key products at the end of the process. Nearly all systems of control in contemporary societies are hegemonic to some degree, and we can see that in cultural norms like the Pledge of Allegiance, which every American child is ordered to perform ad nauseum at a young age. And in so doing, we come to take for granted the existence and the presence of flags. We seldom question what they mean or why they are there, and instead we attach to them this feeling of patriotism. And we can think of religious symbiology, which is also built into the Pledge of Allegiance, in a similar fashion. Crosses permeate our culture to the extent that they come to be taken for granted. We fail to realize that in those representations publicly displayed, people that don't practice Christian religions are sort of pushed on the outskirts and not represented in those moments. We could also think of gender as another hegemonic system in that it is constructed and it changes generationally as we update norms. It's performed through rituals like the one you're seeing in front of you with the gender reveal. Even before children are born, it is often performed. And then to the extent that we paste identities on children, we lean into certain attributes that they have to emphasize what their gender should represent. We can see again on the outskirts of gender is non-conforming or trans folks who are time and again abused, intimidated, or even assaulted because of their gender identity. And this is a direct result of the hegemonic system of gender. So simply put, hegemony is any system of power whereby those who are oppressed come to, in some way, support their own oppression.